Hello, I'm Soraida, the creator of Verdadism. Verdadism is a hard-edge abstraction with written social commentaries. I created Verdadism in 1992 to raise awareness on racism, sexism, and stereotyping. Today I'm going to give you a virtual tour of the Verdadism Art Gallery, teaching tolerance through Verdadism art. Welcome to a virtual tour of the Verdadism Art Gallery. I'm going to take you around and read some of the titles of the paintings and explain some of the commentaries. I'm going to start off with this one, which is about Atlantic City, the arts, and systemic racism. The first painting here, which is the jazz musicians of Atlantic City, modern colonialism, money, is actually about a painting that I did when I was a teenager. I would go to Atlantic City with some friends to listen to the jazz musicians. And one time one of the jazz musicians told me that they were so excited that the casinos were gonna move in there and they were finally gonna be able to make some money. But what happened is when the casinos moved in, they actually just did away with the whole culture of the jazz musicians in Atlantic City. The next one here is called The Battle of the Rice and Beans. This is about Latinos. What we have in common is that we all speak the Spanish language, and also a lot of us eat rice and beans. But the painting is about the fact that a lot of Latinos discriminate against each other, and I feel that in order for us to make social change, we have to all unite, because we're all lumped into one group and there's a lot of discrimination against us to begin with, and we need to make social change, and the only way we're going to gain some power is by actually uniting. Moving on to this painting here, which is called the La Latina. And the painting is actually about when I started to paint in 1992, my Verdadism. A lot of Latinas were so happy that I was bringing up a lot of issues that needed to be brought up in the society. So they were happy that I was speaking out. And I, painted this. It depicts the actual aura of the Latina that I came across. Now this one here is called Women Working Together, and it's actually about women being negative towards each other. I painted this in 1995, and I feel that women have a lot of power because we're nurturers, and as nurturers we have children, and we can change a lot of minds. Because we can teach tolerance, and we could teach kids how not to be racist. So as women, we can actually change the whole society. Here we going on to this one here, which is called, the title of this one is Between Two Islands. The painting is about me when I was a little girl. I was born in New York City, and then people thought of me as a foreigner, so I thought that when I go to Puerto Rico that I felt that they were gonna accept me, but they didn't. So I was like between these two cultures, and it's actually an immigrant experience, and it's a universal experience of people moving from one area to another and being between these two cultures that really don't accept you because you're not like them totally. Now the other painting here is a little girl from Harlem, and I painted about the fact that I was born in Harlem and lived there until I was like 14 years old. I had good times and sad times. I always wanted to be an artist, and I also wanted to be able to express myself through the arts. Now these two other paintings here, I painted in 1992, and I painted it to bring it out to the school system. to the classroom and actually raise awareness on racism. And I wanted to bring it out to have a conversation with the kids, mostly like in the second, third, and fourth graders, about racism. A lot of educators, they were very positive towards it because of the fact they felt that it was a good thing to do that. And I'm going to read some of the titles of this first title, which is called Please Don't Be Prejudiced in My Presence. And this painting is about when I was a teenager in South Jersey. I would be with some of my friends, and we would be, having fun. And occasionally they would forget and they would say something racist, something about Puerto Ricans, and forgot that I was Puerto Rican. So that's why I entitled this, Don't Be Prejudiced in My Presence. The other painting here is what prejudice looks like, and embodies what I think a prejudiced person looks like. In fact, it's an imbalanced feeling. And kids know the visual language, so they get it right away when they see a painting like this. And it's friendly, and it's also encouraging to have a conversation about racism, and they feel very non-threatened to do this. The other painting here is called Interracial Family, the way society sees it. And when we moved into South Jersey, my mother is white Puerto Rican, and then my stepfather was a black Puerto Rican. So this depicts what I felt that people were looking at, because when we would walk into places, people would look at us very strangely. They were not used to seeing people like us. So this is what this painting depicts. Puerto Rican Stereotype, the way you see me without looking at me, is a painting about stereotyping. There's a lot of stereotyping in the United States. And this is actually about false information that was given me throughout the years, like in corporate America. Some people actually told me that they had never even met a Puerto Rican woman. So I had like some funny information given to me by somebody that told me that they thought that Puerto Rican women never shaved their legs. So it's a satirical painting, and it's very powerful. So people actually can get the fact that what I'm talking about when you're stereotyping somebody and have a preconceived idea is not really that cool to do that. The other painting here that I have is speaking to the label kids. I'm totally against labels, because when you label somebody, especially like when you label a person minority, I've asked kids, what do you think minority means? And some of the kids actually said, well, that means we're less of. So when you label somebody, you actually, especially kids, it's toxic to their minds. You're doing some damage when you're labeling. And the school system has a lot of labels where they label kids, the fast learners, the slow learners, and the minority kids. So I'm totally for like doing away with labels. The next one here I have is called Living My Truth, Verdadism. And it's actually about living my truth and painting against racism, sexism, and stereotyping. I felt that sometimes when I took out my artwork into like academia or universities and colleges where I felt that I made a difference and with my message of tolerance, and then at other times I felt like I didn't make a difference. But the one thing that I liked is the fact that I did live my truth, and it made me feel good. In the long run, living your truth is all what it is about, you know. it makes you feel better about yourself. Now this painting here is a painting about Puerto Rico, and I painted it in 1996. I felt that Puerto Rico really never had a future way back then, and I feel the same way now. We're like, there's a lot of problems there. I'm going to read the commentary about this one because it's such a small commentary, short. The weeping Puerto Rican cuatro player. We all know Puerto Rico has an uncertain future. The weeping Puerto Rican cuatro player is weeping because of the uncertainty of the future of the island of Puerto Rico, 1996. And definitely Puerto Rico is having a lot of problems right now. The last painting here is about healthcare in the United States, and it's entitled America So Sophisticated and Yet So Primitive When It Comes to Giving Our People Medical Care. And I feel that medical care should be a human right. I think anybody should have medical care. And I feel that we all need to change this. And it's the only thing to do if you want to be a sophisticated society. Now, I thank you for taking the visual tour of the Verdadism gallery.